Hello, fourth grade scholars. Welcome back. We've already accomplished so much with our study of poetry, and we've recently we've been digging into writing. Today we will continue to improve our writing. So what are we learning and doing today? Today you will work on recognizing and correcting sentence fragments and run-on sentences. And in our one-on-one class, when we're together in our synchronous lesson, we will be writing your first proof paragraph for your literary essay. Your learning target for this lesson is I can recognize and correct fragments and run-on sentences. Let's go ahead and look at the materials that you are going to need for this lesson. So, of course, you're going to need Google Classroom. You're going to need your independent lesson for writing complete sentences. Also, headphones if you have them, and a quiet place to learn. So I will go ahead and let you pause this video. And when you're ready to start, go ahead and press play. All right, great. I'm so glad that you're in a place that is quiet and ready to learn. So let's have a really quick review of what is a complete sentence. Now, a complete sentence has a subject with a predicate and expresses a complete thought. It begins with a capital letter and it ends with an end mark, either a period, question mark, or exclamation point. Let me show you an example. Jack wrote a poem called Love That Dog. That does have a subject. Our subject is Jack. It does have a predicate. It is wrote a poem called Love That Dog. So wrote is our verb in our predicate. And it also, let's see, does it have a capital letter? Yes, it begins with a capital letter. J, the J in Jack is capitalized. And then it has to end with an end mark. So this sentence ends with a period. So that's just a real quick review of what a complete sentence is. Let's continue with our work that we're going to be doing today. So with writing a complete sentence, a fragment is missing either a subject or a predicate, so it is not a complete thought. Here is an example of a fragment. Inspired by everyday objects and the lives of common people. Well, I know that this right here does have a capital letter and it does have an end mark, but that's not the only thing that makes a complete sentence. It also says a complete sentence has a subject with a predicate and expresses a complete thought. I do not have a subject in this fragment. I don't know who was inspired. It doesn't tell me. It just says inspired by everyday objects. Now, this is a poet that we have talked about quite a bit. And actually, it was a poet, our poet from our biography that we read, A River of Words. And yes, you guessed it, that poet is William Carlos Williams. So all I need to do to make this a complete sentence is add William Carlos Williams was inspired. Now, I did not capitalize the I in inspired because that is not the beginning of my sentence. William is the beginning of my sentence, and also that is a proper noun. So that is why that is capitalized. So I lowercase the I in inspired. So William Carlos Williams was inspired by everyday objects and the lives of common people. So let's check off and see if this makes a complete sentence. Does it have a subject? Yes, William Carlos Williams. Does it have a predicate? Yes, he was inspired. That's our predicate. And is it a complete thought? Yeah, he was inspired. William Carlos Williams was inspired by everyday objects and the lives of common people. Does it have a capital letter? It sure does. And does it have an end mark? Yeah, we ended with a period. So, yes, that is a complete sentence. Now it will be your turn at the end of this video to work on these two fragments. You will see this under the writing complete sentences document. So let me show you right quick what that looks like. This is what it will look like on your Google Classroom. And you will just click on the document. And you'll notice that I wrote type your answer here. So you will type your complete sentence here. Here are your fragments. And you are going to type your complete sentences that you write. Don't forget to write capital letters and to add your punctuation. So the first fragment will be wrote and taught for the rest of his life. And then your other fragment is Valerie Worth, small poems for children. Neither one of those are complete thoughts. So that is why they are underneath the fragment column. It is up to you to write the complete sentences. Now we're going to move on to our run-on sentences. A run-on sentence has more than one subject and predicate, but the subjects with the predicates are joined without correct punctuation or a conjunction. Now, what that means is that let's look at this run-on sentence example that we have right here. He made notes about things he had heard. He wrote poems about them. Well, that is a sentence. It actually could be two sentences. He made notes about things he had heard, period. He wrote poems about them. But I don't want to make that two sentences. I just want to add a conjunction. And a conjunction is and, but, or, nor. So I am going to use the word and. So this is what my complete sentence would look like. He made notes about things he had heard, comma, and he wrote poems about them. Now, I know I couldn't use the word but, it doesn't make sense. He made notes about things he had heard, but he wrote poems about them. That doesn't make sense. And neither does or. He made notes about things he had heard, or he wrote poems about them. No, he did both. And so I chose the conjunction and. Now, in the second part, in the second page on your Google Doc, you will notice our run-on sentences. So let me show you just right quick what that looks like in your Google Doc. Page 2, you're going to click on page 2, and here are your run-on sentences. And you will type your complete sentences here. So let's quickly go back and look at what your run-on sentences are. In his free time, Frost continued to write poetry. He struggled to get his work published. That looks like that may be missing a conjunction. So when you find out what you think that conjunction is, go ahead and write that complete sentence. So that is what you will be doing on your own. And her poems were written in simple free verse using no stanzas and short lines. Her poems brought a fresh perspective two ordinary objects that struck a chord with her. Wow, that is a very long sentence. So we need a comma and a conjunction to break that sentence up. So that is your job. It is now your turn to go into your Google Doc and complete fragments and run-ons. So first you're going to do your fragments. And remember, I've left on here what a complete sentence has. So don't forget to double check and make sure what a complete sentence has. And make sure that you begin with a capital letter and that you end with either a period, a question mark, or an exclamation point. And the same thing, I left it the same way for run-on sentences. Guys, I know you're going to do a great job on this. Put on your thinking caps and let's get to work. And I will see you in class. Goodbye.